almost 6 years since I first joined Steam. It's hard to think of all the things that have happened since then. I went to and graduated from middle school. I've met and become friends with so many people. But for the sake of the video, I'm gonna give you all a flashback to me 6 years ago.
It's time to go back.
Well, I just turned 10, Minecraft was still in its prime, and Captain Sparkles was my favorite YouTuber to watch. I remember sneaking my mom's laptop into my room to watch his Let's Plays. I was completely enthralled by him, and just like all kids who have an idol, I wanted to be him. So while I was scrolling through his YouTube channel, a video popped up. Dungeon Defenders with Mark and Nick, Episode 1, Foundries and Forges. I watched it and was instantly hooked, then binged the rest of the 14-episode series. So I begged my parents for weeks until, just like it does every year, my birthday came around. Wouldn't you know it, one of those presents was a very old Black Dell laptop. I booted it up and instantly asked my parents for the one thing I really wanted: Dungeon Defenders. It took some convincing, but I eventually got my Steam account on November 23rd of 2013, and bought Dungeon Defenders on November 27th, 2013. My first game on Steam. I remember looking at the blank library, but that didn't matter. What mattered was I fell in love with this game. That charming tavern music, that overpowering but soothing bloom, the little sound cues that play for the smallest things. I have such fond memories of this game. Sitting in during snow days, playing quests for the Lost Eternia shards. I love this game. And while a few months later TF2 would take my attention, I don't think I could ever forget my memories of Dungeon Defenders. Hi, my name is Riley, and today I want to go on a trip down memory lane and talk about one of my favorite games of all time, Dungeon Defenders. Now you might be asking yourself, why make this video now? Dungeon Defenders is almost 9 years old. Well, with Dungeon Defenders Awakened expected to come in October, I don't see any better time than now. So what made me love Dungeon Defenders so much? Well, its gameplay was simple. Build these towers to defend against the goblins and orcs, hold out for all the rounds, and collect loot to make it easier. The gameplay loop was so entertaining, it sucked me in for 100 hours. I remember watching Onite Pineberries and buying a USB bootleg 360 controller just to have 2 adventures at once so grinding was easier. I made a few friends on this game, but most of them have been offline for ages, and it really makes me sad sometimes. Anyways, let me get to the actual review. Etheria long ago held great battles with brave heroes and the ancient evil known as the Old Ones. Amidst all of this, champions locked away the Old Ones in Eternia crystals. Recently, the champions were called for a faraway crusade, leaving the next generation of heroes, their children, in charge of doing chores and shit like that. We're introduced to the Squire, a pantsless absolute Chad, the Apprentice, a pretty stock-looking mage, the Monk, a silent bald boy, and the Huntress, a stealthy hunter. But just like any story, something has to go wrong. And while they're screwing around in the library, they release an evil force that has long been dormant. Maybe a little worse than breaking a lamp, but whatever. They now have to grow up and fend off against evil hordes to defend against Eternia crystals. Anyone who knows the game knows I pretty much just plagiarized the opening, and that's because the opening is really well done. I mean, listen to this fucking music. After every boss fight, we're given a very well done cutscene. The art and the music perfectly combine with the narrator's voice. It's almost like ASMR for fantasy. And I want to touch briefly on the characters. There's little to no voice acting, which might seem odd, but imagine instead of having anecdotal reactions, they blurred out 15 seconds of plot and backstory. On our main character's side, they only have sound cues to getting hit, attacking, and calling out something. They never directly speak, which I think is a decent way to save budget, especially because there wasn't a need for very in-depth characters. Each one of them isn't meant to bring something new to the story, they're each meant to bring in new gameplay elements. The only people that have voiced lines are of course the narrator, the barkeep, and another entity I can't speak about without spoilers. But to wrap up this part, I wouldn't go into this expecting Shakespeare, and it would be a little fucking jarring if the story tried to take itself seriously. So I'm glad it took the simple but entertaining approach.
The realm of Etheria is now protected by a new generation of legends, and the old ones will not see the light of day under their watch.
If the soothing soundtrack and overlord levels of bloom didn't convince you to buy the game, Dungeon Defenders introduces quite a lot into the genre of tower defense games. I can't say I'm a veteran of the genre because I've only played some Flash games and Bloons TD5, but compared to those games, Dungeon Defenders is a much more involved affair. There are times early on in the campaign where your towers won't do enough damage, and you have to get your fat ass up and attack ogres. And on that note of ogres, holy shit, is it fucking petrifying the first time you see one. The horns blast, and the text pops up on your screen. You rush down a lane to see an ogre towering over you, and now your underwear looks like a Jackson Pollock painting. It's fucking mortifying, and it doesn't help that they smash through bouncer blockades like a Chinese man through opium. Now that I've effectively portrayed how terrifying ogres are, I should get back on track. So like I said earlier, the basics are to build towers to defend against waves of goblins, orcs, and wizards to protect the Eternia crystals. It's very basic, and each playable character brings in new towers, each with a unique purpose, like the monk, who is weak on his own, but combining his electric aura with the ensnare aura and a spike blockade, you effectively have a brick wall. All of this condenses into the difficulty of the game. Overall, on your first playthrough, easy and normal provide decent challenges when you're using a single hero. Hard and insane require you to be swapping adventures and even have a specific character for roaming and DPS. But all of this pales in comparison to Nightmare Hardcore. Nightmare Hardcore is not for the faint of heart. It's not for the weak or the casual. Sharkins, Djinns, and ogres will non-stop bombard your defenses. Whole towers have become completely useless. Nightmare Hardcore, or NMHC, is so difficult, some maps only have one way to build and you have to follow it to an exact T. Or the way that I know of on Tinkerer's Workshop, then building these exact towers in this exact order and upgrading them in this exact way. On that note of building defenses, there are some defenses that are locked off to players that only buy the base game. And this leads me to, in my opinion, the weakest point of the game.
Dragovich, Kravchenko, Stein. These men must die.
Dungeon Defenders is only $15 on Steam, and that's pretty cheap for the content on offer. Compared to all the paid DLC, it's nothing. There are 23 packs of DLC ranging from 99 cents to around $3.99 or $12.99 if you include the complete pack. So, in that breakdown of 23, there are 8 mission packs, 4 Lost Eternia Shard packs, 4 costume packs, 5 character packs, and 2 I don't really know packs. Within these 23, there are a few I think are necessary to play the game at its fullest. Series EV, Summoner, Jester, Tinkerer's Workshop, and all 4 Eternia Shards. Series EV, Summoner, and Jester all cost $3.99. Tinkerer's Workshop costs $1.99, and the pack of all the Eternia Shards costs $12.99. Total, that is $26.95 plus your local tax. So without these DLCs, you'd be missing out on core parts of Dungeon Defenders, like defending an NMHC. It would be impossible without the Series EV and Summoner. Actually, it would be impossible without the DLC because it's not in the base game. It's in the DLC like everything else. The only good thing I can say about this system is it's good DLC. Unlike cutting the game apart and selling it back to you, it's a $15 game with a lot to offer, but it really needs its DLC to stand the test of time. Luckily, if you have one friend with deep pockets, only the host has to have the DLC for everyone to take part. So, yeah, I guess that's okay. So like I said before, we have 4 playable characters from the start: the Squire, the Apprentice, the Monk, and the Huntress. The Squire builds tanky towers that are slow but hit hard and can take a decent amount of damage. The Apprentice builds towers that attack quickly and do a medium amount of damage, until you unlock the godly deadly Striker Tower, which goes from a waste of mana to an absolute godsend behind the right barricade and can absolutely annihilate some of the enemies. In a completely different kind of godly, the Monk is a good balance of roaming DPS and tower strength. His power lies in the ability to support other towers instead of doing the damage themselves. Ensnare and Strength Drain auras make otherwise deadly attacks deal quite a menial amount of damage, allowing your towers to stay alive without much upkeep. And on a spectrum very far away, the Huntress exists. Her traps don't have an exact health, they have uses. So her bomb traps don't have 200,000 health, they have 1,000 uses before they disappear. So she's middle ground between the Monk and the Apprentice, having traps that can deal a significant amount of damage very quickly, but she also has gas traps that can halt enemy movements and attacks to allow your slow as shit ballistas to pin that fucking goblin against the wall. There are a few more units introduced in the DLC, but 2 of them are pure DPS and I don't think they require much attention. On the other hand, the Series EV and the Summoner allow much easier defenses and much larger range on offense. The Series EV can build beams that block or reflect enemy attacks and buff your own towers. This combined with the summoner's minions are complete overkill on the basic maps, allowing for long waves on survival or sonic speeds for a playthrough. The summoner can summon enemy units that have a large range and different purposes. The archer is what you'll be using most of the time, but the spider allows you to pretty much nullify a single enemy at a time, and the mage not only hits hard but heals your towers and is absolutely necessary for an NMHC run of this game. And yes, I know there's a pack of 4 more heroes, but those are just opposite gendered reskins of the base 4.
Don't act dumb!
I just want to make a quick mention of the music in this game, because none of it stands out as bad, and there is some downright amazing build and battle themes. I can't say it's my favorite music, but it does bring back many memories, and is almost euphoric at the feelings it evokes. I don't know music theory, but I don't think it takes a genius to understand why some of these tracks are downright lethargic. And while I do think the game looks dated sometimes and feels clunky, the music in my opinion is timeless. Okay, so here's the final verdict. I found myself having a lot of fun with this game, even coming back to it years later. Does that mean you should go out and buy it? God no, it's 9 years old and it's painful trying to find a public game that's around your skill level. If you are planning on getting back into this game, I would recommend grabbing a friend to help you out because playing the game solo can be pretty somber. So, with its great gameplay and music, I would give this game a 9 out of 10. Maybe this is all my nostalgia speaking, but I found the game very enjoyable and it has a lot of replay value. But I'll give this rating with a caveat. Don't buy this game. There is supposedly a new Dungeon Defenders coming out this month that is a reimagining of the original. Hopefully I can do a quick review on that. I'm pretty sure that's all I want to say in this review, so I'll just let the B-roll take us to the end credits.